The elderly woman's hand trembled as she lifted her teacup. To anyone else, it looked like nothing, just another quiet morning in a small neighborhood cafe. The soft clatter of plates, the low hum of conversation, sunlight spilling across worn wooden tables. But the waitress noticed something that made her heart stop. The woman's smile didn't reach her eyes. Her name was Margaret, and she sat stiffly across from a man who spoke for her, ordered for her, even answered questions directed at her. When the waitress Emma asked if everything was all right, Margaret nodded too quickly. Then, as Emma reached to refill the cup, Margaret did something subtle, almost invisible. She folded her thumb into her palm and wrapped her fingers over it. A silent signal. Emma's breath caught. She had seen that sign during a late night training video months ago, something the manager had shown just in case. A discreet hand signal used by people who couldn't safely ask for help. Emma kept her face calm. She smiled, she poured the tea, and as she walked back toward the counter, her hands shook. She didn't run, she didn't panic. She did exactly what the training said. She picked up the phone and quietly dialed 911. Because this story reminds us that kindness still matters, even when no one is watching. The police arrived within minutes. The man protested, raised his voice, claimed it was all a misunderstanding, but Margaret didn't have to say a word. Her eyes said everything when officers gently guided her away. Later, Emma learned the truth. Margaret had been living under financial and emotional control by a distant relative who had slowly isolated her. No bruises, no obvious signs, just fear, silence, and a hand signal barely anyone would notice. That night, Emma went home exhausted. She didn't feel heroic. She just felt shaken. She replayed the moment again and again, wondering if she'd imagined it, wondering if she'd done the right thing. The next morning, the cafe buzzed with whispers. "Did you hear what happened yesterday? That waitress, she saved that woman." Emma kept her head down, wiping tables, trying to ignore the attention. She didn't want praise, she just hoped Margaret was safe. Then the door opened. A man in a tailored coat stepped inside, scanning the room with intent. He didn't look angry, he looked purposeful. His presence shifted the air, like something important was about to happen. He approached the counter. "I'm looking for the waitress who worked yesterday morning." Emma felt her stomach drop. "I'm her," she said quietly. The man studied her for a moment, then smiled. Not the polished kind, but something genuine. "Emotional, my name is Daniel," he said. "Margaret is my mother." Emma's eyes widened. She hasn't been able to speak freely for years. Daniel continued. "I live overseas. I trusted the wrong people to look after her. Yesterday, your awareness saved her life." Emma's throat tightened. "I just did what anyone should." Daniel shook his head. "Most people don't notice, or they notice and look away." He paused, then added softly, "I'm a CEO. I manage thousands of employees, and yet the most powerful act of leadership I've seen all year happened right here, by a waitress who chose compassion over comfort." The cafe fell silent. Daniel returned the next day, and the day after that. Within a week, something unexpected happened. The cafe owner received a call. Funding was being offered, not for expansion or branding, but for staff training, free safety and awareness workshops, emergency response education, quiet signal recognition. Daniel didn't want his name on it. He wanted Emma's. The program spread. Other cafes joined, then airports, then hotels. What started as one quiet moment became a movement, teaching people to see what fear looks like when it's hidden behind politeness. As for Margaret, she moved into a sunlit apartment near the park. She drank tea by the window. She smiled without fear. And every Wednesday she visited the cafe, not as someone who needed help, but as someone who had survived. She always sat at Emma's table. One afternoon, Margaret reached across the table and gently squeezed Emma's hand. "You saw me," she said, "when I didn't know how to speak." Emma swallowed hard. "You were brave enough to ask." Margaret smiled. "And you were kind enough to answer." In a world moving too fast, where people are trained not to interfere, this story reminds us that kindness still matters. Awareness matters, and sometimes the quietest signals lead to the loudest change. All it takes is one person willing to notice, and one moment of courage to save a life.